So today I'm going on a sartorial journey with the English singer, songwriter and musician James Blunt. A former reconnaissance officer in the Lifeguard Regiment of the British Army, he served under NATO during the 1999 Kosovo War. After leaving the military, he shot to fame in 2004 with the release of his debut album, Back to Bedlam. You're Beautiful, Goodbye My Lover, 1973, Bonfire of the Heart, all of those fabulous songs became worldwide smashes, and the rest, as they say, is history. As well as a record-breaking sales and accolades too countless to mention, James has become a Twitter icon, documenting his rise in the book, How to Become a Complete and Utter Blunt, Diary of a Reluctant Social Media Sensation. So welcome, James. Lovely to see you.
Introduction I've had ever. Thank you. I want you to come on before every concert and do a spiel.
Oh, in fact.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hardly
and famously known for my clothes and my style, so that's entirely why I'm here.
Well, that's why I thought it was
the invitation.
Essential that we should talk. I mean,
Absolutely.
Look, the cover of your book, you're in a bright yellow suit,
Yeah,
James.
and I promise it's not mine. And will never be worn again.
How did that come about?
Well, I think we were doing a photo shoot for a newspaper, and they found an amazing venue in London with parrots everywhere and an amazing kind of tropical bushes and a swimming pool, and stuck me in a suit and said, jump off there and we'll take pictures.
I don't believe it, because honestly, I could have sworn that's in your beautiful pool in Ibiza in the sun.
It's London. Isn't that amazing?
Not for real. Did you get the suit wet?
I did, yeah. They got me for hours, standing on the edge and then falling and trying to capture the moment as I fell in. And then we'd have to take half an hour to dry the suit. And so every, 2 pictures was sort of, an hour in the making.
Whoa. But let's pace right back to childhood and your earliest sort of awareness of clothes and your earliest sartorial memory. Were your parents really stylish?
No, I mean my parents are, my father's from the army. We're pretty, well, I can say not over exciting when it comes to clothes. I suppose as a child, what can I think of with clothes? Clowns always scared me. Parties, you could see people dressing up in a clown. I think I still have nightmares that clowns will eat me. But so I understand getting dressed up, I suppose. That was what I remember most, and probably enjoying parties because of that.
In fancy dress?
Yeah.
And did you feel like you became someone else when you were in a costume?
Yeah, I mean, I went on to join the army myself, and so obviously, as any soldier will tell you, cross-dressing is an important part of a soldier's routine, and so there's not many a fancy dress, even as a child, that I wouldn't go dressed as a girl, and also as a smaller man as well. I suppose I have the benefit of doing that is I could borrow some heels and give myself a little extra bit of height. So, what size are you?
No, you're not.
Okay.
You are absolutely not nicking my shoes.
I mean,
or trying them on.
Often, as in my 20s, I'd probably try and go out with people who were a size 7, just so I could swap. And
did you wear tights and all of that sort of going as a girl?
If it was chilly.
And did you shave your legs first?
I think, with dark tights, you don't need to, do you?
Don't look at me.
Sorry, but and I feel I have good legs, and they're worth showing off if you get the opportunity.
Sounds good. Coming back to the army, I sometimes think of clothes as being our armor. They're sort of what stands between us and our naked selves and the rest of the world. But obviously for you, during your military time, it really was your armour. What did it mean to you to wear a British military uniform?
Well, I suppose you're really right in that respect that, uniform is, perhaps it's seen as a way that you're undefinable in between amongst other soldiers. So the enemy looks at you and you appear all as one. But that is your arm in the sense that as a reconnaissance officer, I was hiding, stalking the enemy in bushes, and so to have camouflage on, is totally about practicality. Everything that we wore was about practicality, how lightweight it was, how easy access the pockets are, and what you strap onto yourself on top of that. And so, for me, it was about practicality and use, and I think that's probably what I've carried on in later life now as a touring musician, as you know me already, I've turned up here in jeans and a t-shirt, and I
only ever seen you, I think.
Exactly, yeah, and I'm very much about the practicality of what I'm wearing. And I suppose also maybe that goes with what I do with music, which is, lots of artists dress up and put on a fanfare, but I'm singing very, very open, very raw, very heartfelt songs. And I'm not trying to deceive or show something else. I'm trying to show a real human being. And in many ways, you talked about the armor covering your nakedness. In many ways, I'm trying to reveal myself, to stand up there and as if with no clothes on and say, these are my frailties, my failings, my flaws, and here I am, unafraid to show you them.
I feel a naked set coming on at some point. Maybe not.
Hopefully not.
But with the stripping away of that individuality that you have in the army, how did that affect you? Did it affect you in any way?
Well, it's a strange thing that lots of people ask. Often ask about the discipline within the army. Do you struggle with that? You're saying the loss of individuality, but actually the army isn't like that. Perhaps the uniform makes you think that, but our army is very, very small, and so our army is actually about individuals using their common sense, using their brains to work out the best solution, and that's a different way than, say, the Russian army, which we can see in action now, where they just chuck a mass of soldiers in one direction and don't necessarily give them any free will, whereas ours, being a smaller army, are told, this is your mission. And how you complete that mission is up to you. So you really don't lose your individuality. They talk about needing risk takers, people who have independent thought. Just as long as you can do it within certain guidelines.
It's a hell of a training for life, isn't it?
Definitely. And completely for what I do now. I used to tour the world in a tank, sent off to different places. I now tour the world in a slightly more comfortable tank tour bus. But
which is pretty fabulous.
It's pretty good. If you like sleeping with 16 men every night. But the kind of logistical side of that is very similar. I have a tour manager who is like my troop sergeant, who he knows what we're doing, and then I have a crew who are like your non-commissioned officers, who are the guys who can make it happen, and then you have me and the band, who are just like the soldiers who just get thrown out there and have fun.
Yeah, and you do it so well. When you're thinking about clothes, do you obviously you've created your sort of uniform of your jeans and your t-shirts, and do you think you are dressing for yourself, for your audience, your wife?
Well, I think I've definitely kind of gone through a sort of change in the way I approach clothes. Once upon a time, I had a dream that I wanted to be, a rock star. I knew I'd never achieve that, so now I've just managed to try and be a pop star instead. But in living that dream, I definitely wore much more kind of loud, outrageous clothes. If you saw any old photos of me, I was in pink jeans or purple jeans with flowers on them, and generally, quite extrovert. And weirdly, when I did succeed in the music business, I wanted to be much less visible and understated. And so now, I think I dress for practicality and for myself, and something easy so I can run away.
No, I think where you've got to is great. Your beautiful, beautiful song "Monsters" about your relationship with your at the time very ill father, and that sort of lovely bond between father and son. I often think of that when I see you and your two sons wearing either exactly the same board shorts or exactly the same jeans and shirts. And I think there's something so charming about that. How did that all come about? When did that first start?
Of wearing the same clothes?
Yes.
Well, because I'm small enough to wear my children's clothes, so it's just, mix and match.
By the way.
Mix and match. I think it's just amusing, isn't it, really? I mean, for the video, I was wearing similar clothes to my father because because we do look so similar, and we wanted to capture the fact that, obviously I'm his son and no one else is, a chip off the old block. And I might do the same with my own because it looks rather sweet.
Oh, it looks so beautiful. And by the way, James and Sophia's children are my absolute all-time favourites. You have been quoted as saying, opinions are like arseholes. Everyone has one. And on that note, does your beautiful wife have opinions on your wardrobe? And if so, do you listen?
She definitely has, and she really knows her stuff. And I'm so glad to have her opinion. Otherwise, I would be all at sea. And so literally, I will, with almost anything, whether I am doing something professionally in the music business or privately, if I'm doing something professionally, I'll step out and there's a manager and there's a record label and there'll be some stylist that they've roped in to guide me through my ignorance. And the person I will normally turn to when they've all had their say is Sophia, and say, what do you think? And it's thumbs up or thumbs down that I really listen to.
Good. Would you say you've had a worst fashion moment?
Many.
If so, what was it?
Yeah, many. Well, going back to, the dressing up, I remember, walking back home from a party at something like 6 a.m. It was a long party. It's not the walk of shame. It was the long party. Let's at least go for that in this, for the sake of talking to you. And it was through Verbier, and I was dressed up as a woman in high heels, and there was a guy in a Porsche stuck in a snowdrift, and I offered to help him push his Porsche out of the snowdrift, fully dressed as a woman, but fairly obviously not a woman.
In heels.
He begged me not to help. and I definitely have had some terrible other ones. I went on to have I Got News for You, and I'd got a leather jacket because I do want to be cool. So I think a leather jacket is a first step in that direction. And the leather jacket, it kind of looked like a quilt rather than a leather jacket, a black quilt on what is a pretty serious TV show. So, yeah, and you can't really delete these things, can you?
Well, now you absolutely can't. I mean, when we grew up, it was a lot easier to but now it's sort of out there in the ether.
Exactly.
So when you're unsure of the dress code and being a global pop star, do you just sort of say, sod it, I can wear what I want?
Yeah, I mean, that's when if people say, this is whatever, black tie, if you're supposed to be turning up as a pop star, then it's a great moment that you can just say, I'm just going to turn up like this. But you know me, I'm fairly institutionalized, and sometimes if I'm given the instruction, then I'll turn up as instructed. So I did turn up to Elton John and David Furnish's white tie and tiara party, and I just left the army. I'd just become a pop star, so I went out and hired white tie and tiara and turned up, looking ridiculous. And everyone else was pop stars, and they just turned up as pop stars. And so I was the only one,
like a waiter,
looking like a waiter, looking like a Pratt. And so I learned the hard way. Won't be doing that again.
You've also been quoted as saying, I don't agree with superstitious routines, but there are a couple of things I'll always do before performing. I'll get together with the band and chill out, and then just before I go on stage, I'll always check my flies. Is there a story behind this?
Well, as someone who opens their flies a lot, I think
too much of that.
It's just, I think it's just a safe thing, if you're standing up over an audience, and it's just a sensible thing to do.
Not to feel
other superstitions seem silly, or rather practical. Don't walk under a ladder, not because you're superstitious, but because someone will drop something on your head potentially. But checking my flies before seems like a sensible thing.
And I know you love a bit of fancy dress.
Yes.
When did that actually start? So that was as a child?
Yeah. I really, my sister, and myself were keen on doing that all the time. She'd even insist on going to school still dressed as a clown. I think she, even as an adult now, picks up her children dressed as a clown. So it's definitely in us. She was more clowns. I'm more scared of those, maybe because my sister dressed as a clown. Cross-dressing, I can't do that too much anymore, apart from back in the privacy of my own bedroom. And so, but often when we've gone out, you and I have seen each other in Verbier. We often get dressed up as superheroes there, because if you're having a party of you dressed as superheroes, then it's very easy to identify who's with you. If you're in a public space, you can just shout, superheroes over here.
And I hate having to do all that.
So if you're trying to get into a nightclub and you're in the queue, and then the bouncer isn't you letting in, and then suddenly he lets you in, and you can literally gather all the superheroes on me, and then you're like, yeah.
I remember this. Next time the dress code is superheroes, I'll really do it properly rather than.
And generally people think you're useful as well if you're like that. So it's just.
But you are. It's all the sort of army training behind you. You are a genuine superhero.
There's a great picture, actually, which the paparazzi caught. I don't normally enjoy paparazzi pictures, but I was walking home from a party with my wife. She was dressed as Wonder Woman. She was still in her heels, and I was dressed as Superman, but obviously, 4 inches shorter than her while she was in her heels. And I just looked like a little child being led home in my
being led home. Did you ever have a go-to clubbing outfit?
Yeah, I mean, from university, I was in university in Bristol, and I really loved it for its nightclubs. The Wakeley was a fantastic club, and then I would come up here to Hanover Grand, which a man called Roger Michael would run on Thursday, and to a Ministry of Sound, which I absolutely loved. And even in the army, I was still out clubbing, and I mean, I remember being stopped by the police 6 a.m. when the club had closed. I was sober because I was the designated driver, and so I was driving back to the barracks as well. And I got out. I had tight lime green flares with daisies on them and a pink crop top.
Going back to the
barracks, and he stopped me and said, right out the car, and they were going to, breathalyze me and things like that. And I pulled out my army ID card and said, hi there, Lieutenant Blunt. He shook his head, said, no fucking way. But anyway, I was entirely sober and sent on my way with him again, just shaking his head. So yeah, I think anything tight, lime green with flowers, decent crop top, a bit of neon, and I'm away.
Right, I'll be looking out for that. Best raving accessory? Whistle, glow stick, rubber ring.
Am I allowed to say vibrating butt plug or not?
No.
Because no one knows, and you're just away, and then maybe a little bit of cash in your pocket, and you're all set.
Yay, way too much information. Okay, on a lighter note, maybe not, but I think as human beings, we're a little guilty of sizing people up when we first meet them, especially by what they're wearing. Is this something you're conscious of? Do you ever look at the face, or do you look at the total look?
Well, weirdly, isn't it? Most people, when having a conversation, will say, oh, did you see the guy in a blue suit over there, or the girl in the red dress? And I really just don't see the clothing. I would like to say I see through the clothing. I don't do that, and not that perverse. But no, I normally see, I suppose I see the face, the hair. It's the guy's 6'4", little fucker. I normally don't see the clothes that much.
You've attended royal weddings. What do you have to take into account sartorially when you're dressing for that occasion?
Well, it's really easy for a man, isn't it? This conversation, because as a man, we just can stick on a tailcoat and we're away. The only thing I have to think about is whether my socks are the right colour to match my wife's dress.
But do you ever sort of go out of the box, or for that sort of thing, and change your sock colour or do anything?
The socks is fine. I mean, I have the most higher range of colourful socks in the world. It's almost the thing that I'm obsessed by as a colourful sock.
That's your identifier.
As interest as I get on that. But my only time with Harry's wedding, I was on tour, and so it was an amazing invitation to get. And I was thrilled, but I was playing the night before and the night of the wedding, so I flew back. And the only thing I had to really think about was what I could wear as I got to the back of a motorbike that drove me. I had one of the courier motorbikes that drove me back to an airport to get to my concert in time. And so, in a morning coat, was quite a look on the back of that. And I arrived back in Estonia with 15 minutes to spare before I ran onto stage and played.
To jump into your jeans and T-shirt.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Would you say you've got a style icon? Was there anyone that you looked at, maybe as a kid growing up, and thought, he's cool?
I mean, you know me. I'm in jeans and T-shirts.
Gosh, so many of these questions. How would you describe your style now, your style DNA? But it's a jeans and T-shirt.
Yeah, sort of man-child.
Child. Okay. And your looks, how would you describe yourself if you were say, if someone didn't know
You're talking about my faith? Oh, yeah. Well, a strange but beautiful mix. Somewhere between Tom Cruise and Alan Partridge.
Favourite bits of your body to show off?
I have a great arse. And in fact, I have been very lucky to be on a holiday on the Amalfi Coast. It was an amazing experience. I didn't have any shorts, so I went, in the airport, and all I could find was super dry. And the woman said, sorry, this is the girls' section, and I said, I know, because the men's were just a little bit big, and so I spent my holiday in size 8 women's chino shorts, and my holiday friends said it was definitely a little bit revealing.
On a more serious note, what is the one item of clothing that means the most to you? It might be something that was your father's or an uncle's or grandfather's, or...
I do still have some bits of army uniform, which from my ceremonial time, the green bits of when I was, a green soldier creeping around in bushes. I haven't really got that torn. But from being Her Majesty's ceremonial bodyguard, to the Queen Mother's funeral, to the bits of uniform that you wear when you're doing that are absolutely incredible, and you look, ridiculous and wonderful, and it's so old-fashioned. And so I've managed to keep a few bits of uniform. Actually, I hope you don't broadcast this, because if the army find out, they'll probably come knocking on my door and ask for them back.
No,
but some great hats and jackets that again, sometimes I dress up at home for the wife. Just so she remembers.
You've got one lucky wife. Would you ever consider buying clothes on the metaverse?
I don't know what the metaverse is.
Right. Finish that.
But
hey.
But probably. What do they sell?
Oh, it's all virtual. Don't worry.
Is it like...
It's meta.
Okay.
It's out there, so it's not real. So you can be this avatar, and you can dress up in your designer clothes.
Okay. It's a bit like Cyberdog. Does anyone know Cyberdog? Yeah?
Yeah.
Like fat heels and, and platforms and leather, and I'm kind of into... It sounds good. I'm going to Google it later.
You mentioned earlier about using or using a stylist or having exposure to a stylist. Have you ever let them take you out of your comfort zone?
Almost always, and I've almost always regretted it. What I do, because obviously I need help in so many ways, but particularly with clothes. And so, doing any kind of photo shoot with the record label or any TV show, they'll say, come on, please, can we put you in something? And so a stylist will turn up there with racks and racks of clothes. And I do try absolutely everything. I think the best, they've made a huge effort. They probably spend a couple of days looking for stuff, and I will try on every single item of clothing. And then at the end say, please, can I just wear these jeans that I've come with and this T-shirt, but maybe I'll put on a jacket. And and quite often I'm when they're pushed out of my own comfort zone, then I generally look back on the TV show and think, I just can't pull that off. Can't pull it off.
If you've worn something to an award ceremony where you've been presented with an award and, wonderful moment, do you keep that outfit as a sort of in a special place, or does it get relegated to archive?
I mean, if it's a freebie that fits, I'll definitely keep it, and it's that works. Definitely, I'll hang on to it. I mean, I remember an MTV award, getting a great cashmere hoodie in black with the words "Faith" over it, and I've still got that to this day. After the award, a woman came up and said, "Hey," she kind of touched on my chest. That's my name, Faith. I get, good for you.
But you're not getting it.
Good for you, love. Faith. Anyway, her name was Faith Hill.
Have you ever, I often think that celebrities and pop stars and rock stars and actors and actresses are often asked for items of clothing to go into auctions to raise money for charity. Have you ever done that and then regretted it?
Well, no, they don't normally do auctions for children's clothes, do they?
Oh, stop.
So they don't normally ask me for those clothes. But most clothes, I go to the charity shop a lot with clothes. afterwards and whack them around there and see if they'll take them. Because as you say, if you've been to any of those things like that, you've normally only worn it once. And so it definitely needs to be put back in a system.
And you believe in the circularity of the system?
I mean, definitely, if you can, it would be a criminal to throw those kind of things away. I mean, because often the price of something you're given for an award ceremony is just ridiculous. So if someone else will have it, I'd be thrilled.
Are you good with your shopping? Do you plan the multi-pack of T-shirts that you need to buy and the multi-pack of jeans that you need to buy?
So this set of jeans is from, I think it's Armani, and I have 20 pairs of these. And I bought them.
Do you buy in bulk?
So I just went in the shop and said, can you show me some jeans? I was playing at Twickenham the next day, and they found me these pair of jeans, and I said, fantastic. And then I said, do you have any more? And they said, we have 20. I said, great, I'll take the lot. And that, I think, was in 2007. And in fact, I've just torn them on the way here. But I take them into Magic Stitch, and I repair them almost every couple of weeks. I'm back in Magic Stitch, and these have been going. So that's the jeans. These T-shirts, you know me. I think you've seen me wear this T-shirt every single time. I think I probably have 10 pairs of these. And I've just had in the last week 8 pairs of another thing. I walked past a shop and thought, that'll do. It's a nice blue. It's a T-shirt.
I love it.
8 of those.
I love it.
And so, the only thing that is totally different colour all the time is socks.
Got it.
Exciting life I live.
Where do you get all these multicoloured socks?
From Father Christmas.
She's really good. Really good. I'm going to ask you about travel. When you are going through an airport, do you pay attention to the fact that you will be photographed, or is it just, I am James Blunt, I wear my jeans and my T-shirt and my Faith hoodie, and this is how I am?
Well, they really winds me up, the little fuckers in the airport. That's the paparazzi, not your everyday guy or girl on the street. But paparazzi in airports is really frustrating and I've had, it's
really invasive.
It's really invasive. And you've come off a plane and it's a long haul and you've slept and you've dribbled on yourself and your hair's looking ridiculous. And then there's some paparazzi in your face. And then it turns up in the sun. What's his name? What's that guy who did all those articles? He now works for Radio X. Gordon Smart, you little fucker. And, writing your pathetic little stories about how badly someone looks when they've come off a long haul flight. I mean, fuck you. Let's see you and your grotty little face showing yourself.
Nothing you feel strongly about.
But I don't feel strongly about it. Exactly.
Oh, God. I'm not even going to ask you if you're a good packer or a bad packer, because I know you're probably an excellent packer, post-army,
Yeah, and so I travel and tour the world, and I go on tours for sometimes 18 months at a time, and I travel with hand luggage only. And that's mainly because, often my bags have gone missing previously if I stick them in, and I can't believe it. And it will nick my clothes again. You're going to be a huge, extra large man who's carried that suitcase, and you come across this extra small T-shirt. You can't fit in the fucking thing. And still a robe. So I travel with hand luggage only, and yet I travel the world like that, and it makes life really easy. And also because if you're on tour and it gets lost, then they're going to send it to you in Denver, and you've already reached Detroit, and so it's just going to play catch up with the rest of the tour. So hand luggage, and you've solved the problem.
Guilty secrets. Then, what is the most expensive item of clothing that you've ever bought? Don't have to tell me how much.
Thanks. I don't know. Nothing. You're gonna have some girls who've got ridiculous dresses, aren't you? Yeah, I was an X Factor judge, and I was on as another guest was Chris Isaac, and I thought, well, he's corny as hell, so I'll buy myself. This is coming from me, Chris. I love you. You know I do. I'm
sensing competitive dressing going.
Yeah, he and I are really, really close friends, which is the only reason I can say that in the first place. But I walked past Le Boutin, and they had a men's section, and I saw these blue suede shoes, and they're ridiculous price. I mean, yeah. I'm guessing
how much?
700, 800.
I would think probably more, but anyway.
Really? I just stuck the car down. It was just worth it. And it's going on the comedy anyway. And just so I could look a little bit more like Chris Isaak.
And did you love them, wear them to death?
Oh, I've still got them.
Have you
pride
them
and joy.
sold with another red?
I haven't. I mean, every time I go out, I wince a tiny bit, because I'm always going to spill a drink on it, aren't I? You've seen me stumble out at the end of the party. There's, it's always a vodka and something on it.
Vodka's good though, because it doesn't stain.
They're
what you
actually
mix with it.
Their suede is just, suede is just tricky.
It is. And I'm a little bit worried about the red sole, because with a man, that's, you don't have the sort of benefit of that lovely sweep from
you're right.
sole through to heel where the red remains.
Yeah. To get my children to paint them.
Oh, yeah, but not the suede. Do you have a brand that's your guilty secret?
Well, not really a guilty secret. I think I go to All Saints because it's really easy. My wife has thrown me in Ralph Lauren because they've got some good kind of fairly rugged bits of clothing too. I don't know what the section is. They've got this thing that makes you try and look like a cowboy.
Oh, Mr. Mulver, man.
Exactly. And no, otherwise, nothing I can. All Saints is pretty easy.
It's great. And it's cool.
Thanks.
Most of the time. No, it is. It's cool. What, if anything, do you feel you've got an excessive amount of in your wardrobe? You're going to say T-shirts and jeans, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty simple wardrobe. Colourful socks on the top drawer, T-shirts on the middle drawer, and jeans on the bottom. And life is good.
And your approach to sustainable fashion?
Yeah, it's a tricky question. Because you're talking to an eco-hypocrite. But yeah, I mean, anything I'm given that I'm allowed to give to anyone else at any stage, I absolutely will. But otherwise, come on, unless I said I'm wearing the same jeans for,
I think that's pretty eco.
They're going to reach 2 decades pretty soon. And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to show you my crotch to look. This is everything that can be.
These are impressively restitched.
Yeah.
Impressively restitched.
Every pair of them is like that.
So I don't even ask you what you do with your clothes when you've had enough of them, because they obviously are so worn out that they...
So what I do is I go into the shop and they're really nice to me. They see me pretty much every week, and they say, it would be cheaper just to get a new pair. And I go, no, but...
But if you've got something that you say to your beautiful wife, Sophia, I'm never going to wear this again. Let's get this to a charity shop. Is she sort of able to say, this was James Blunt's, to hopefully raise more money from it?
Well, I think we both know that would probably make it go down in value. I definitely, if I've got something brand new in the box, take it in there and I'll say this has just been used for a video shoot. Or I might say, if it's a brand, which I think, because you just don't know if they know that I think this is a really expensive brand and hopefully be able to flog it for a decent amount of money. It's probably worth pointing out. I don't think it's worth pointing out that this is mine. I don't think that's gonna...
That you underestimate yourself.
Help. But I really love clearing out generally. I mean, I do try and clear out the things that if I have been given stuff and then I'm not going to wear, that it doesn't look exactly like what I'm wearing now, then I do try and clear out as much as possible. And what I've learned when you have children as well is that the only way you're ever going to make more space in your house is by losing your own possessions. And so I'm constantly throwing my own things away and giving up one drawer to someone else.
Harking back to army days, you obviously had to be unbelievably tidy and disciplined. How, I'm saying this with purpose, having re-merchandised my partner's wardrobe last night. How tidy are you?
Immaculate. I like to be able to find everything when the lights are off.
Can you have a word with Hugh about this?
Does he not? Well, in the army, when I joined and I was sent to Sandhurst after a very free experience of 4 years of university, then it's kind of like going into a kind of a prison. Really, you're in a room. Your room is inspected at 6:30 in the morning. It takes maybe a couple of hours to make your room the way it's required to be, and so the shirts are ironed with the arms folded into position and they're then hung up, everything an inch apart from each other. The socks in the sock drawer alone is a work of art, everything rolled up. And, again, with a ruler, immaculate. The bed is, again, God, I was proud of my bed. You could, iron it and fold the sheets, measure it with a Bible. That took 45 minutes to do a whole bed. So
Measure it with a Bible.
And iron it into place. So I'd sleep on the floor beside the bed with the curtains that are also, pleated and folded onto the windowsill. And bearing in mind, we've got spotlights coming through the window because we're, buildings that need security on them. So you're sleeping on the floor beside a beautiful bed and with the curtains open and your sock drawer and your shirts and everything is just an immaculate. And that has completely stayed with me. And then what they would do, though, in the morning is they would have the inspection. You'd stand outside in your boxers and the troop leader, platoon commander would come in and he'd wear white gloves and he'd come into your room and he'd swipe underneath the windowsill. Now, bearing in mind, I dusted under that windowsill maybe 5 minutes, maybe 5 or 6 minutes before he came in. I've dusted everywhere. I, got up at 6 to finish the last dusting, but he'll swipe under the windowsill with his white glove. He won't look at the white glove. He'll just stick it in your face and say, "What's that?" And I'll go, "It's dust, sir." And he'll go, "It's fucking dust." Now, it's not my dust. That's probably dust from his own home. But he will say, "It's fucking dust." And then he will throw open the windows and then throw out the contents of your room onto the parade ground below. And those are our daily, and he'd say, "Thank you so much, sir." And that was my daily experience at Sandhurst. And it's made me enjoy sadomasochism generally. And I'm pretty anal about where I put everything, and attention to detail that my part of the house is immaculate.
And your part, is Sophia as tidy as you?
Sadly not.
Is that a bone of contention?
I don't feel I can discuss it.
Do you just quietly go through her wardrobe and refold them like I do with Hugh?
Yeah, exactly. It's a work in progress.
Everyone needs a work in progress. Quick fire questions. High end or high street?
I mean, high street, really. Is All Saints High Street?
In between.
Thanks.
Minimalism or maximalism?
I mean, minimalism on the surface, maximum under that.
In the heart. One-off or bog-off?
I mean, not the one-off. I will, if it's a one-off piece of clothing, then I'll definitely get that for my wife.
Crocs, cute or puke?
Terrible.
Sports luxe or rock and roll?
Softly rock and roll.
Glam or grunge?
Well, I think, I look pretty jeans and t-shirt grunge, don't I? Throw on another jacket once in a while.
I think you own that.
Yeah.
Savile Row or jeans?
Well, I'm in jeans, but then I do lead a double life a little bit.
You do?
You take me along to some wonderful events where you tell me I need to dress up, and I do have. I have.
Sorry, I didn't take you to a royal wedding.
So I do have, and I was I'm a posh twat. So I was at boarding school
tailoring
where we knew Jeeves and Hawks. So I have got a couple of Jeeves suits, and so I can bluff my way.
You can do the Savile Row.
I can bluff my way between two.
Trend or style?
I mean, neither. You're asking the wrong person, aren't you? Thanks for asking.
Colour or monochrome?
I really do love a little bit of colour. If I was allowed more in my life, I would.
Pattern or plain?
Plain, please.
Experimental or uniform?
I'm really into experimental. In a uniform.
Cashmere or cotton?
Well, I'm talking to you. I only wear Amanda. Cashmere.
Hoarder or editor?
Very much an editor.
Charity shop or resale?
Charity shop. No one's going to buy it off me again.
Y fronts, briefs or boxers?
I'm an ex-soldier and I'm going commando.
That shut me up. T-shirt or button down?
I really don't like the button down at all. I mean, you shouldn't have just a nice collar without. But I'm in a t-shirt.
Muscle fit or oversize?
When you've got these muscles, then get yourself to mother care. Get yourself to mother care. Buy the one for their children aged 10 and squeeze into them.
That is a guilty secret. Budgie smugglers or board shorts?
Well, in my case, parrot smugglers.
Beanie or baseball cap?
Baseball cap, please.
And finally, James Blunt. One last question. At the end of the day, what do you or don't you wear in bed?
Don't pretend you don't know.
You're going to tell me the story of you chasing the phantom burglar around the house stark naked now.
Yeah, exactly. I did have a moment where we had been robbed 3 times, and but I hadn't been in the house, and then a window smashed, and I got out and I'd kind of tooled up, and so I was running around my house with various weaponry, naked, and actually discovered it was just a picture that had broken off all. But my wife was impressed.
James, thank you so much. This has just been hysterical and great fun and a great excuse to hang out with you.
So good to see you always, Amanda. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you.